Hi everyone. It has been a long haul this month going through all of my shit to see what I'm starting the year out with for my 2023 no-buy, especially when it comes to planners and stationaries and art supplies. And goddamn, dude, it has been a lot of self-reflection seeing all this stuff and be like, oh, shit. But we're on the last one, unless, of course, in the comments you guys are like, no, I wanted to see this other thing too, then maybe there'll be another one. But for now, this is the last planned one, and this is going to be my other art supplies. So I talked about paints and inks in the last video. This video will be pencils and crayons, pastels, that sort of thing. So let's just jump right into it. And as per usual, I found something that I missed. In going through all of my shit. So this little bag here is actually a bunch of mostly oil-based markers that I am testing. I got a couple of like sampler packs from Jet Pens, and I wanted to check some of them out. So I kind of ordered it last minute before my no-buy started. You'll, I'm sure, see some of those in future videos. But other than that, let's just jump into it. So first and foremost, these are the ones that are currently living either in the cup on my desk or right on top in my other desk drawer. And these are just a couple of basic Tombow mechanical pencils. These will not be the only ones you see. And then one of the Tombow mono little erasers. So I just wanted to show you these because these I usually have at least one of these pencils floating around as well as the eraser floating around. Let's talk colored pencils. I have mentioned in previous videos and in my no-buy that I do have some things I use specifically for professional work, and my Prismacolor colored pencils are definitely one of those. So this is not all of them. This is the cool colors for the most part. We've got grays and neutrals, blues, purples, greens, and browns, and I keep them organized by color group because it's a lot easier for me to find what I want. I will say if you look at any of these, it's the greens that tend to get used up the fastest because I do a lot of botanical work, and yeah, my greens tend to get hammered, although so do my purples for some reason. Anyway, so these are those, and I did mention in my no-buy video, which I will leave linked along with all of the others in this series down below. If I run out of any of these colors, then I will repurchase these. That is one of my exceptions because I use these for professional work and I need to have the pencils that I know do perform a certain way. These are the other three color groups. We have like peaches and beiges, oranges and yellows, and then reds and pinks. And like I said, these are just organized by colors. It's the whole set. I have the whole set of them. I do use some colors more than others. It's just easier for me to figure out what I need if I keep them organized in such a way. Like, for example, if I'm going to start a new paint or if I'm going to start working on a painting and it's a bluebell or something, I'll probably grab out the whole green and the whole blue to work with and then go back if there's other colors I need. But it just helps me organize them better. Also, I do keep this out as well, this color chart, which has all the colors on it, so I can pick, like I can make references as to what colors I'll want, so it'll be easier to find them. Also, I should add these are Prismacolor, the Premier soft core pencils. So these are the soft ones that blend out really easily. In the previous video, I talked about my mineral solvent Gamsol. That's what I use to blend these. These are very soft, so you have to be careful when you sharpen them, and they wear down very, very quickly. I also carry like I'm a fucking retailer. I also have this pile of my backups. These are colors I tend to use fairly often, and so I like to have extras, or like this one little tiny guy to go in one of these. These are my pencil extenders, which if I want to keep using a pencil up, which of course you do, they're expensive. You don't want to waste them, so you just pop it in there. Whoops. Well, whatever. I'll do it a different time, but yeah. Pencil extenders and backups are in here, but these are all Prismacolors. I think the only one of these entire ones we just showed that is not Prismacolor is, where is it? This guy. This is a Holbein white pencil, and it's a little brighter than the Prismacolor one, so I decided to add it in for adding highlights and things like that. But they're not my only Prismacolor pencils. I also have, again, for professional work, these guys, which are the Prismacolor Verithin. So these are also Prismacolor, very similar colors. However, They are very hard lead. If the other pencils are soft core, so they blend super easily, these are extremely hard lead. They sharpen a lot sharper. And I use these for doing like line work within a painting. If I need, I don't want to use a pen or I don't want to use paint. I want to use colored pencil, but I need the point to be very, very fine and very, very like precise. These are the ones I will gravitate towards. I don't use these anywhere near as often, but they are one of those tools where when I need them, I need them. So I do keep them around even if they don't get used very much because they can be very, very helpful depending on what I'm doing. And then I guess the final colored pencil bucket of like what I use in professional work is these guys. These are my erasable colored pencils, and I like to use these when I am doing my initial sketches for a watercolor painting. So I have two brands here. One is Prismacolor, because that's apparently a hoe for them. Mostly a hoe for them because you can buy them individually usually, and they have a huge color range. There's some you'll see in my rest that I actually kind of like a little bit better than these, but they don't have the color range, or they're more pricey, or I can't buy colors individually. But these are the Prismacolor Kohl Erase pens. These are erasable colored pencils. And like what I will do is if I'm doing, again, let's say I'm doing a bluebell, I might take this green and I might take this blue and use these to very lightly, maybe this darker blue, to very lightly sketch out underneath the watercolor, because I found that using these, because they're erasable, I can do my sketch and not have to worry about fucking up. But also when I paint on top of them, they're a lot easier to hide than regular pencil mark. And then I also have these. I like these better. These erase a little bit better, but they just don't have as wide of a color range, which is why I keep both kinds. These are the Unicolor mechanical erasable colored pencils. And again, like I really like these, but they just don't have as many color options as the Kohl Erase do. So we've talked about colored pencils in terms of what I use professionally. Let's talk about the other colored pencils that I happen to have. Now these sets are not sets I will necessarily use professionally, but I do like using them. Although I will say these are the Prismacolor watercolor colored pencils, and sometimes I will use these to sketch the same way I use the erasable colored pencils because they will blend out. It just depends on what I'm going for. But in here, when I moved, I actually shoved in some extra pencils as well. There's a handful of these Tombow, they're highlighter colored pencils, which I just think are kind of neat. And then I have a handful of these Koh-i-Noor Tritone, the pencils that have 3 different colors of lead. Have not really fucked with those, but I have those in here as well. So this is definitely going to be a box that I want to experiment with sometime in the next year. These are the Derwent Color Soft. I love these color pencils quite a bit. The reason I don't use these is A, they're hella expensive. I didn't even buy these. I got, there was a point when Derwent offered on their website some different, colored pencil classes, and if you took one of those and you did the whole thing, they would send you a pack of colored pencils. So that's where I got these from, and I love them. However, they're pricey. I have not been able to find all the colors individually the way you can with Prismacolor, and they're thicker, so they're harder to sharpen. The lead is also a little softer than the Prismacolor, so it can be a little more difficult to work with, but I like them because they're just really nice. And then there's the Faber-Castell Polychromos, which I really, really like these as well. These are fantastic colored pencils. The biggest reason I don't use these instead of the Faber-Castell is because I don't have all of them, and they're also pricey. So I like having them, though, to experiment with. But these are like my experimentation colored pencils, my playing around colored pencils. I very rarely use the Prismacolors unless I'm using them for professional work. I reserve them for professional work or for self-initiated projects that are done in a professional way. Now that we've talked about those, let's talk about just regular pencils. I guess I grabbed out other adjacent drawing tools and sketching tools as well. So ultimately, when it comes down to it, my favorite pencil to sketch with is probably going to be a mechanical pencil, just because I don't have to worry about sharpening it. Here's another one of those Tombow mechanical pencils. And then I also have this Graph Gear Pentel. It's a very thick 0.9 millimeter lead. It's very thick. It doesn't break though with my heavy hand, so I do keep this one around as well. And then I do also just keep some basic, like Bic inexpensive mechanical pencils around for sketching because they are handy to have. If I am not sketching with mechanical pencils, then I am sketching with one of these puppies. If you are at all hooked in with the artist community, you've probably seen these before. The Palomino Blackwing is just a fantastic sketching pencil. I've got one here, and I have a whole box of backups here, so no worries about running out of that. I've also got some boxes of just kind of fun or novelty pencils. These are the Adam J. Kurtz graphite pencils that have like little sayings on them. I've got these ones that have little sayings on them that I got from, I want to say, Rose Paper Party back when I ordered her rainbow journal. And then there's these Tombow just HB standard pencils. I've just sort of accumulated these over the years. These are just all basic pencils. I don't have to worry at all about running out of pencils in the next year. I even have lead. I have plenty of leads for if I run out of lead in my mechanical pencils. So we have mechanical pencils, we have regular pencils, we have these guys, which are wood-free pencils from Art Alternatives. I don't really like these all that much. I got these in a subscription box, and I've hung on to them in case one day I find a real use for them. But honestly, they kind of weird me out, and I don't know why. So this is all of my sketching pencils of various types. Also a bunch of little pencil sharpeners. I don't know why I keep these fucking red ones. They're garbage, but the metal ones are where it's at. So these are just various sketching pencils of different types and different hardnesses. I'm just looking to see if there's anything in here that is more interesting than just basic pencils. Like if you know about pencils for sketching, they come in a scale of hardness from H, which is hard, to B, which is the softer end of things. I just have a whole bunch of different pencils in different hardnesses. I tend to gravitate towards a softer pencil when it comes to sketching because it's easier to erase. I'm going to just dump these back into here and I'll see if I can find any of the more interesting ones because there are some in here that are a little bit different. But a lot of them are just your standard drawing pencils of different hardnesses. And I like to keep them all around because you never know when you're going to want like a soft pencil or a hard pencil. You know what I'm saying? All right, so there's just a few in here that are a little bit different. This one is a Koh-i-Noor Magnum pencil. It's a very similar just drawing pencil, but it's thicker. And I like this on my bad tendonitis days because it's a little easier for me to grip. And then these guys are from the General, but these are extra black layout pencils, which again, I wouldn't use under a painting, but I would use very much in other kinds of sketching. And then we have this box, which has more specialty pencils and also a Uniball Signo gel pen. That's random. Okay. So some of these are just basic #2 pencils like this guy, right? And this guy. But most of these are drawing pencils that are sort of different. Like, for example, all of these guys, these orange ones, are charcoal pencils. So they're actually charcoal in pencil form, which is my preferred way to use charcoal because I don't like it on my fingers. Just gonna throw these #2 pencils back in there for now. Get them out of my way. These ones are also carbon charcoal pencils as well. And then these are a little bit more specialized. This is a drafting pencil from the General. These two are, they are, I believe, Stabilo aquarellable pencils. These are pencils that can be used on different surfaces. So they can be used on glass, they can be used on plastic. I've got a regular graphite one and a white one. And then these guys are water-soluble graphite pencils. So they're Faber-Castell aquarelle pencils in different hardnesses, which draw just like a pencil, but when you add water to them, they blend out like a watercolor pencil, which can create some very interesting monotone drawings, or you can use it to like dirty up a painting if you want to make it look like sooty or like the chimney sweeps. They're great for that. And then finally, these are all my charcoals. I'm not going to open this up because I've actually filmed this video once already and lost the footage and it got all over the place. But in here are my soft, like natural charcoal sticks, which just get everywhere. And then down here are hard pressed charcoal sticks and Conti crayons. Again, for sketching especially larger scale. I don't like the feel of them on my fingers, but I love the way it looks, and I actually love creating art with them, so I just have to suck it up to use them. Okay, real quick, now that we've gone through pencils, let's take a look at some erasers just for the transparency's sake. So in this bag, I'm not going to open it up, but what's in this bag are two kind of separate things. One are some erasers and my speedball carving tools. This is to create handmade stamps. So I'll show you one that I've gotten here where you carve out the stamp shape into an eraser. Like you can buy this pink shit. It's called Speedy Carve. There's like other names for it, for like as a substrate to make stamps out of. But you can also just use erasers and they work just fine for that as well. And then this is the tool I use to, it has like all the pieces are in here in the butt of it. But you use this to carve the stamps. And then this bag is just chalk, like standard school chalk. These are all of my rubber and like white erasers. Not all of them, but some of them. This is Gigante, my favorite. I love this. You could take a robber out with this, hit him in the head with it. These Pentel ones, these high polymer erasers are just fine. Just a bunch of white erasers of various kinds and various uses. Statler. And then in here are my kneaded erasers, which I have plenty of them, but if I run out of these will definitely be something I purchase more of if I need more kneaded erasers. All of these erasers are great for different things, but when it comes to watercolor, especially if I'm sketching out a painting before I start, using a kneaded eraser is so much more important than using anything else, because a kneaded eraser will lift the lead up without rubbing off any of the sizing, which is the stuff on watercolor paper that gives it that texture. If you use too much of like a standard eraser on watercolor paper, you'll see where you erased sometimes when you paint. So kneaded erasers are very important to have for watercolor. Then there's some other ones in here. I bought a sampler pack from Jet Pens or Tombow or something years ago, and I've been experimenting with them, but they're like black erasers and foam erasers. This one is a sand eraser, which you can use to lift up some pen, which can work really well. So those are all my erasers. And then before we get into the other art supplies, this is my bucket of, I think I talked about these in another pen video, but just in case, I'll throw these in. These are the white and black pen, like paint pens I keep near my desk. Okay, quickly, I'll just show my Jane Davenport mermaid markers. These are watercolor ink, like dye-based ink, like water pens that are just, they're so messy. I 10 out of 10 do not recommend wearing white when using these. I'm actually kind of nervous holding them here with white on. But I love these so much I bought backups. So I don't even know if they make them anymore, but I love them so very much. I've also got just a couple boxes of Crayola crayons that I use occasionally, either in Hot Mess Plan With Me's or for other reasons. But I just, for the sake of transparency, I've got some Crayolas. Standard pastels. We've got a pack of oil-based pastels here, and then these are both soft pastels. I don't use pastels very often because I don't like the way they feel on my hands, but much like the charcoal, I love the effect that they produce. So I have them, but I don't use them. But I want to use them, but I don't want to use them. Does that make sense? And then when it comes to like pan pastels, if you watched my previous video, in one of my bags I was going through for paints, there were a couple of small like eyeshadow palette looking situations from Jane Davenport. Well, here are the bigger versions of those. I've got 4 of them. These were all sent to me by Jane Davenport and her company, so just know that. These are something that I really love how they look, but I haven't quite gotten a grasp on how to use them. There's a pinks like palette, a neutral palette, a cool tone palette, and this one, which is like a kind of like a shimmery mineral palette. I would love an eyeshadow palette that looked like that, but that's basically what these are. They're pastels that are in a pan, and you can use like your fingers, or you can use like sponges to blend them. And then these are the original pan pastels. I've got yellow one here and a blue one underneath. I got these in a subscription box, and I haven't really felt the need to buy more of them because I still don't really like using pastels all that much, and I have all these Jane Davenport ones, but they will be fun to experiment with in this next year. Let's talk about water-soluble crayons, gel highlighters, gelatos, those sorts of things. Yep. All these. So if you want to know the most kind of obvious version of these for people who have been around the art community for a while, it's gelatos. They're like water-soluble gel or crayon-esque things. They kind of look like lipsticks. And then you can draw it on paper and you can blend it with your fingers. You can blend it with water. You can leave it drawn on, but they're really fun to play with. So there's a whole bunch of different styles of water-soluble crayon type things here. First and foremost, these are Jane Davenport. They're drama sticks. They are basically like water-soluble crayons if they looked like an eyeliner, basically. And they're sharpenable, but they're that soft kind of cross between a water-based pastel almost situation. So I've got 2 sets of these. Warm Heart, which is the warm colors, and then Ocean Eyes, which is the cool tone colors. I've also got these Crayon d'Ache water-soluble Neocolor wax pastels. These are fabulous, but they are fucking expensive, and so I just don't ever have the nerve to use them as much as I would want to. The biggest reason I got them was because a couple of these colors, the red and the magenta especially, sometimes can be hard to get that level of vibrance when I'm painting, and so I can use these, or even with colored pencil, these will help bring that vibrancy. But again, these are one of those I'd love to use more, but I need to get the nerve to use them. For a less expensive version, again, these were sent to me for free though, are these Jane Davenport Aqua Pastels, which are basically the same thing. Then I've got a bunch of these distress crayons. I'm pretty sure I bought all of these on clearance at different times. Tim Holtz distress crayons. I've got various color selections here. I have 2 of the same no, they're not the same. Okay, that's good to know. For a second, I thought these were the exact same colors, and I know they're not. They're water-reactive pigments. Again, very fun to play with. Another kind of similar product are these guys. These are the Jane Davenport Color Sticks. This is like the standard rainbow set, and then this is like a face set with skin tones and other tones you would like maybe use on a face. So again, these are water-soluble, kind of waxy, crayon-y type situations that you put on the paper, and then you can blend with your fingers or with water or with a tool, or you can like leave it unblended. But they're fun to play with. Again, I just don't play with them as often as I probably should, and that is something that I'm going to need to challenge myself to do in this year. And in this bucket is all of my gelatos and gel highlighters, water-soluble crayon type things from Michaels. So I've got and some random like Conti crayon type things. I don't know why those are in there, but whatever. So these are some of the gel stick highlighters. They go on like a highlighter, but again, you can blend them with water if you want to. The reason these can be popular, you can also find them on Amazon as like Bible highlighters, because they can highlight a page without bleeding or adding any liquid whatsoever. But you can also blend them out with water, which is why I keep them with my gelatos, because I prefer them for that purpose rather than for the highlighter purpose. So these are the gel stick highlighters. Got some of the water-soluble Recollections sticks. These are basically the Michaels versions of gelatos. Pretty inexpensive, work basically the same. And then a bunch of gelatos. Again, water-soluble, kind of look like lipstick. You can blend them out with your fingers, with water. They do... Like, if you're looking to make backgrounds, these make fantastic backgrounds. And that is all of my art supplies, and this should wrap up all of my collection videos, unless, again, there's something I left out. I left out sketchbooks, things like that. I just didn't want to go digging to find them all. I just won't buy any, but it's a lot of shit, you guys. I feel kind of embarrassed, just a little bit. So let me know in the comments something you have way too much of to make me feel better about myself. Doesn't have to be art, could be anything. Could be makeup, could be canned goods, I don't know, whatever. Let me know, because I'm kind of feeling a little ashamed, which is why I'm on a no-buy year. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me this month. My first check-in video for the no-buy will be in February, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, I'll still have regular stuff going up here on the channel. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, etc. Thank you for watching, and until next time, my friends, peace.